Good morning and welcome to Your Home, Your Money with your hosts Randy and Jackie right here on Reality Radio 101. To get on board right now, send us an email. Our email address is instudio101@gmail.com. And now, ladies and gentlemen, right to your hosts of Your Home, Your Money, Randy and Jackie.
Hello, y'all. We're here.
Oh, we're live. Hi. Sorry, I don't have earbuds today, so I don't know what's going on.
Is it just today you don't know what's going on? Or has that happened before?
Yesterday, I had a rough day, too. I was dropping everything. I went to the hospital to visit a client who's in there, and I was dropping everything left, right, and center, my keys in the parking lot. I was just really off balance yesterday and had a rough day. So I think you're going to probably take over the show today because I also have a headache right now. But enough about me. It's beautiful outside.
Yeah.
Summer has arrived.
Summer has arrived, and that's a really good thing, because we're actually we came back from Barbados and we actually escaped all of the coldness, and now it's almost like we're back in Barbados without the beach, without the turquoise water,
without the winter coats here, though.
Yes.
So it's quite nice to be in warm weather, and as you guys can see, we're in a new room. We changed our little room that we used to be in, and our designer started decorating everything, but we're not finished
growing
yet.
up.
But
we're growing up. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I don't know if anybody
but that's
out there.
if they can see it, because a lot of people are
on radio.
Don't
but
forget.
For you people on YouTube and that, you can also check out my Facebook page. I post every week updates on what's going on here at the office.
But you're not live on Facebook right now, so
No,
it's YouTube, and you go to @YourTeamPros. So you go on to YouTube, type in @YourTeamPros. That's the @ and you would be able to see our new setup if you wish. And are you monitoring comments? So they might even be able to make comments there.
You can,
otherwise
if
that,
anybody's watching on YouTube, but.
And otherwise to that, today, because Anthony's not here, you can still write into on air at yourteam.pro, but we may not get it. But if you go to in studio, Gary,
101 at gmail.com.
instudio101@gmail.com. The producer will get it, and he will definitely read it out on air. So he's got a great setup, so he's getting all his emails. I don't know what's going on with us, but we'll get it under control soon enough.
I don't know either. Sometimes I get some, sometimes I don't. Anthony seems to get them all.
Yeah.
And Anthony's busy today, he couldn't be here, so it's just me and the big guy.
Yep, that's right.
So, and I almost wore a purple shirt like you, and then I thought, no, that might be a little too much.
Yeah, I don't think that's your thing. It can't be pulled off by everyone.
No.
Only certain people.
Usually you try to copy what I wear, but you couldn't fit into a dress today, so.
That's a good one. That's a good one. So, you know what? I want to talk about some real estate. I'm ready.
You ready?
Yeah.
I got a couple little things to talk about, and then you might as well take over the show. Habitat for Humanity, for people here in Canada, you know what it is. Habitat for Humanity, they help build houses in places in the world, and trying to provide homes for people. They also sometimes go fix up people's homes, help them. They also have a reuse it store, I guess, for better lack of words, where you can go in and you can buy used items. Sometimes they have new, like sometimes they'll have new tiles or flooring or whatever. Sometimes you find some really good deals in there. Anyways, sorry guys, oh my. They are rolling out a program which you can go and read more about on their website. If you go to Habitat for Humanity Home Ownership. Now, I didn't get a chance to read it all, to be totally honest with you. I had a really busy week. But it's basically geared toward people that can't afford to buy a home. And it's kind of like you don't have to have a down payment. You have to qualify, obviously, and then it's based off your household income, what your mortgage payments will be, and what your needs are. I didn't read the whole thing yet, but for anybody who's interested in finding out a little more about that, you can go on their website and you can click a button and learn more and possibly even register and get on the list, because I'm sure the list will be very large if it isn't already, because we have a huge problem with home ownership for the lower income families, which is kind of sad. It's almost out of reach for a lot of people. So this may be a pretty good program to check out for anybody out there. So that's Habitat for Humanity / home ownership. It seems like it's brand new, so who knows how it's going to go. And
based on income, so that's helpful.
Yeah, exactly. So like you will actually be able to afford your mortgage payments based on your income and what the cost of living is all the way around. So I don't know where they're building these houses, how it's going. I'm sure all of that. If you register, you probably get a package or something talking about what you need to do and everything. And then the second one is they have changed some zoning in Toronto for houses, for single-family dwellings, which now you can have 3 units. I read, but I also heard up to 4, but when I read in the article, it says 3. Now, here's the deal. That's great that you can have more units in your home, which helps people with rental, also helps you subsidize. It's great for investors to get a little extra money. And it's, now I lost my train of thought. I'm like a squirrel. I'm like all over
it's
the place.
actually 4, it's up to 4 units.
But the article says 3.
I understand.
I know, but
I'm just saying
yeah.
it is up to 4. And yeah, like what you were saying is that, that's wonderful. It gives us better density and that. And it shows us that it shows where we're thinking, and what we're thinking about is being able to get enough beds together for the growing population. However, Canadians aren't, or traditionally have not been concerned about having enough beds. We want enough housing. And this doesn't solve that problem. It solves the bed problem, the place for someone to sleep. But how, if you're converting your detached home into 4 units, 3 units, whatever, how does that help a family? So I understand how it helps individuals, but it's certainly not helping the family problem, which takes us to another level.
Hold on.
Go
ahead, because I wasn't finished, but
right,
like a Budinsky cow.
No, you lost your thought. You had everybody trying to figure out what you wanted to say, and you weren't saying.
Playing a game.
So the thing is that, and now I lost my thought.
We're getting old.
It's great for investors, right? Because investors are able to now get a better cap rate, because in the GTA, there really investment with a positive cash flow just really wasn't possible. All these people want to get in and make their money grow, but you wouldn't be able to do it with current legislation. So they're changing that, and it will be good for investors. It will maybe ease the tenancy, the lack of rental units as well. And And so it might be good for that, but it's certainly not going to help with the Canadian dream, which is that white picket fence, right? Because typically we didn't want a white picket fence around our yard where 4 people, 4 different families, or 4 different sets of people are sharing it. So, which takes us back to...
Well, now that you said that about sharing, I'll throw in my last point, which is parking. Toronto already has a problem with parking. Some houses don't have parking in the city when you go in, and you see sometimes you have to pay monthly and you can get a permit to park on the road, but a lot of homes don't even have parking. So now what are they going to do when this house now needs, let's say if you have even 3 units, that could be 6 cars. What's going to happen with them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what they're going to do is they're going to ride scooters. That's what they're going to do.
Oh, yeah.
So the city, go ahead.
No, I'm like, yeah, like Oshawa's rolled out, yeah.
So you didn't tell them anything. You
About
said, yeah, like Oshawa's
because you're
rolled
not
out.
finished talking about the whole permit
No.
and home thing.
Yeah, but you interrupted it with parking, and so we're talking about that. My wife. So anyway, so the scooters, which we're seeing, as my wife says, oh, it rolled out in Oshawa, and then laughed, but didn't fill everybody in on what's going on. As you drive through Oshawa, and I'm not sure if this is all parts, because we're not really seeing it much in Whitby. So
No, it's Oshawa, not Whitby.
So we're going to see how it plays out here, and then we're going to see how it plays out in many other places. But there's 2 major programs to help ease parking. One is the bikes, and 2 is the scooters. Now these things basically are left all over the sides of the road. So they're left on the boulevards. The city has approved it. They automatically lock once you park it there, and then it's got a GPS coordinate that tells them where it is. And then whenever you leave your house, there's probably one close by, but I'm sure you can look at the app and see where the nearest bike or scooter is. You can go there, put your card into the app, and take the bike or the scooter and go where you need to go. And these things are electric, so they help you to travel with ease. And I think for short-term travel, I think it's kind of a really cool thing. I think they're going to have to figure out, little parking spaces that would be a little bit more approved. Because, sometimes I've seen some in the middle of the sidewalk and things like that.
Well, that's the thing, what they're saying about responsibility when you do take it, right?
Yeah.
But it's also a pilot program. So it's a pilot program until December 2024. So they're testing it out, but a lot of people have been using them. Cole was on one the other day trying it out. I mean, they're all over.
I can't wait to try it.
Oh boy, I want it. You know what? I was thinking about that. I want to try it too, but I am so clumsy. I cannot see myself being able. I need elbow pads. I need the whole get-up helmet because I guarantee you I'll fall off it.
They have the helmet. Get yourself elbow pads, knee pads, back brace, shin pads. Actually,
you need to get shin pads for when I kick you.
Put on hockey equipment. And then
you're going to need the shin pads, trust me.
So if any of you see someone going down the street with hockey equipment on and a scooter, you found Jackie. So.
Oh, I'll be the hockey equipment wearing, scooter riding realtor. I'll meet you at the showing on my orange scooter.
It's going to take you an hour to get there, so just wait for me.
Hey, you can go 20 miles an hour on them, apparently, when I looked it up.
Speed limit's 50, so you're going less than half.
But I'm going faster than if I was walking.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you know what? We're going to try it one day.
Yeah, but like you said, we're going to have to buy you hockey equipment first.
I'm going to try it, and I'm going to see if I can get somebody to film me. So, yeah.
And you will see it here first, folks. So with all kidding aside, in the GTA, it is very possible that they would have the scooter and bike program for Toronto. They've already encroached on the driving, so they've given less lanes to the drivers on the streets, and they've given a fairly aggressive big bike lane on the streets where they have, a lot. They have a lot of privileges. Let's put it that way. And so, I can see, and we've already seen over the last few years an explosion in bicycle couriers, which are more effective, can get around just as fast. As a matter of fact, for any of the shorter distance stuff, they're much faster, much more effective. Couriers have major problems with parking in Toronto, major problems with getting around. There's a lot of one-way streets. There's a lot of things hurting a car from being able to maneuver well downtown Toronto, but the bikes are able to really go well. So we're seeing that the bike couriers is a big thing, so I think that will probably be an interesting program. I think Toronto, we've always called it kind of the concrete jungle. So once you fall in love and you decide that you're going to grow a family like we did, we automatically looked outside of Toronto to live. We know that the job market is better inside Toronto. However, for us, what we had decided was that my wife would stay home with the kids and look after them while I go out and slay dragons. And so that was how we did it. So we didn't necessarily need to be in the city. And because I was in real estate, it was a pretty easy conversion to move from selling in the city to selling a little bit outside of the city. And we weren't really that far. We were about 17 minutes from our home to our city office.
Pickering at the time we lived.
Yeah, so it wasn't really a big adjustment, but
and when you're used to being in your car all the time, that's not really a big concern. I think for a lot of realtors.
So then moving to the suburbs is something that many families have chosen. We just didn't want and we're talking many families. We just didn't want our kids to grow up in the concrete jungle there, and so we wanted a little bit more green land and bugs and lizards, and that's really what we were looking for. So now fast forwarding to the new legislation that's come out, and that a detached home can be chopped into 4 separate units. Well, that is going to be a very interesting dynamics to the Toronto core, which is already like the concrete jungle. So now you're talking about how it is that each one of those each one of those towns or cities or communities are going to function, because when you have 4 people on each, let's just say, traditionally it would be, one family, which could be 4 people in that space, and now you're looking at 8 to 12 people in that same footprint. And so now, how does that change the community? How does that alter the way in which the community feel, the bars, the everything? And so that's going to be an interesting dynamic moving forward. There, whether we like it or not, it's happening. So
but what about?
When you're finished. So I don't think that it's really about whether we like it or not. It's going to happen. The question is, what are the opportunities that it presents to people who need opportunity right now, because we need opportunity in order to buy a home. Or even if you decide that you're not buying a home and you're going to build and you're going to rent and you're going to invest in the stock market, or you're going to rent and you're going to build your business. These are all great plans, but all of them require money. So these opportunities, what are you going to do to get in there and provide opportunities? And I've got the solution.
Do you? Well, that's what I was going to say. How are they going to regulate these renos with people?
The same way they always do. It's the exact same process.
And you know what else? They're doing it, and now, of course, once you put the 4 units in, how much do you think your property tax is going to go up?
It's inevitable,
right? But I
guess
it's they're going to say it's a trade-off, right? Because now you're getting rent.
It is.
But you're just getting rent to pay utilities. But that's what I was thinking too. Like, because that's more electricity. You need different amp service. Are you going to be required to possibly have parking spots? Like, it just seems like a little bit of a mess, but I don't know.
So excuse the noise. We're going through some renovations here at the office, and today's just one of those days, so I can hear the hammering in the background. To me, that's exciting, but I guess to a radio show, it could be a little annoying. Or you could say, hey, look, these guys have improved their sound, they've improved their audio, they've improved their location, so I'll put up with that stuff.
Hopefully it'll be over in the next couple of weeks and you won't hear the noise.
Yeah, so, or next couple of months. We'll see.
Oh, no.
So, I've got an interesting chart here.
We maybe ask Gary for his emails first.
Okay, do you got any?
I don't see any, but...
Okay. Gary, do you see any emails?
I see, excuse me, I see 2 here.
You see 2?
And let's open those up. And Monica writes in, hey, real estate, we have had that scooter program here in the States for over 5 years now. They work really well. The difference is that the cities here have parking areas for their scooters every half mile or so. They are usually at bus stops. Also, there are incentives that if you park your scooter properly, you get a discount at the end of your trip on your ride. So that is from Monica. Thank you for that. Kelly writes in, and she says, good morning. Happy summer to Randy and Jackie. Randy, be nice to Jackie. And that's from Kelly, and back to you.
Okay, Kelly, be nice to Jackie. Kelly, I would...
Everybody writes in that, man. You're not getting the hint.
Not everyone. It's the same person writing it over and over under different aliases.
Is
and
it?
Quite
Okay.
frankly, I just don't appreciate...
Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate it.
Kelly, I agree with you. I think I am talking nice. You see...
Yeah, this is nice.
Here's the thing. Yeah. Here's the thing. You see, a lion roars. And some people may want it to be quiet because you're going to attract attention. It roars anyways. And hyenas laugh. And it may attract attention, but that's what they do. Monkeys do.
And they steal your belongings.
And that's just the way it is. And birds chirp. And so I have
How many
always
examples
been,
you going to give?
I think I was done with them, but should I give one more?
No.
Okay, so I have always been a bit of a jokester. I usually speak before I think, and it's just kind of how I roll. But
24/7.
But Jackie does know that I love her very much, and.
I have been, many people call me Angel Jackie because they wonder how I've done it for like 28 years with this man. So, yeah, but I love him. He's amazing. We do go back and forth. This banter is all day long with us, all day. It's exhausting some days because some days he keeps it going, like
it's more
tormenting
fun.
Me all day.
When it's exhausting for her, it's more fun for me.
So, yeah, and I'm definitely, as I get older, not becoming more patient. So, yeah.
But yeah, thank you, Kelly.
And what was the other
And
one?
then Monica was talking about the scooter program. 5 years they've had it in the States. Usually the scooters are around bus stops, so that's pretty cool. And they give a discount for responsible people who park it well at the end of their trip. If they park it well, they get a discount, which I was actually going to say that on the show, that you would do that. You would rate them 5-star, 4-star and stuff like that for people who are parking them well, and then have some sort of program where you can say that, hey, we don't really like how this one is parked, and you have like a little complaint thing, which would then tag on to that person. So I thought that was interesting. I think one thing is really strange, and I've really been thinking about this one. So with this whole germaphobe thing that we've created.
Where did germphobe go? Oh, because everybody's using the scooter? Bring your hand sanitizer with you, your Lysol wipes.
Hey, Kelly, how come you don't comment on Jackie interrupting me, huh? How come it's a female thing, as long as this Kelly is a female, because there are male Kellys. But if it was a male, then he would have been sensitive to my feelings.
Not necessarily. Not all men are like you.
So the thing is that I was curious because, we're still getting over the whole germaphobe thing for those of you that are out there that wear a mask while you're driving in your car alone, going to your next destination. I've seen people riding a bike wearing a mask. The first question that I think of when I see that is, are they going to live longer? And I think that we're going to find out later on that actually they're causing more issues with their health, I believe, because they're trapping the toxins that they're trying to get out of their body when they exhale. They're trapping them in the mask and then re-inhaling them. So I really, as much as that they may want to stop themselves from catching a disease of some sort, I think that they're probably causing more harm than they're doing good. But that's my opinion, and I am not a doctor. Dr. Love, but outside of that, I'm not officially a doctor.
I'm sorry, my client's texting me.
Yeah.
And once again, I apologize because...
let's just put that aside.
Yeah, but it's my client. I'm so
sorry,
sorry,
guys.
guys.
6,000 people listening.
I know, but I also have a client I'm taking out directly after the show, and I have to communicate. My clients come before anything, guys. I'm sorry.
Communicate with them before the show and let them know that you have 1 hour that you are
I did,
busy.
but...
Okay, then that's it. Communicate with these people right here.
Hi, happy Mother's Day to all these women out there, by the way.
Yes, so when is Mother's Day?
It's all weekend, I told you, but you're pretending it's only tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it's on Sunday. So I'm not sure how you're getting a happy Mother's Day today.
And some people have birthday week. I barely get birthday day.
That I understand, birthday week.
So why can't I get Mother's weekend?
I understand birthday week. That I do.
Do you know how hard motherhood is?
Yes, I will admit we're blessed because of motherhood. I think it's one of the most amazing miracles that happen in our lives. I'm very glad that it's women that go through all that, and it's not men. I'm going to be honest about that. But I do feel bad. Yes, I do feel bad that you take the brunt of
our entire life, because then we have to do menopause. Men get off with nothing.
Yeah, I'm wondering.
But you know why? Because men are little sucks. They get a flu and they're in bed. They can't do this. They can't do that. Oh, they get an ache. They can't do anything now. So the Lord gave us all of this pleasurable thing. I love motherhood because men couldn't handle it. Only women can.
I'm going to be honest.
You men would die. Like, you would die. There's this little thing on TikTok, and it's almost like a painter's palette. You know how they have the circle, you can put your hand, and then they got all the colors? Well, this is from 1 centimeter dilated to 10, which is where you have to go in order to be able to birth a child. And when you see the size of 10, that should scare men off right there. Yeah.
I have so much to say about that. You should see what's going on in the head. But I think it's better that I just move on to a different topic, because I've gotten some pretty cool hate mail. I've gotten beat up over some of the things I said, but this one would take the cake.
What are you going to say?
I would get canceled. I'm not even going to. But I will say that I don't know if there's a man alive that envies the position that women are in. You guys do have it very hard, and hence why you nag us all the time. I think it's your
I was born to nag. I don't know about any other woman, but I'm totally okay with myself nagging, because you have to nag. You want the garbage taken out? If I said, can you take the garbage out, please? That doesn't happen right away. It happens once I start yelling, but typically I end up doing it myself, so.
That's only because of your anxiety. She's the person that would say, oh, can you take the garbage out, please? How come you're not taking the garbage out? Are you taking the garbage out? And this is the exact spacing of it. And then she grabs the garbage. You haven't even had a chance to even hear the first comment. The second one's coming. You haven't produced that yet, but it's coming.
And you love
And the third one's there, and she's taking the garbage out once you've got the second comment. And the third one came afterwards, and then you realize the garbage is gone. And so that's how she deals with things. I guess it comes with extreme urgency, or it's extreme anxiety. I'm not sure which one. I think it's probably...
It's kind of a, if I ask for something, I want it now syndrome. The now syndrome.
Okay. So, you know, I wanna talk a little bit about the United States and Canada paralleling their real estate, the real estate environment. And so I've got this little graph here. It's probably a little hard to, well, it's probably a little bit hard for you guys to hear this graph on...
Here? While you're hearing it up?
Right.
While you're holding it up?
To hear this graph on the radio show, it's probably hard.
No, they can hear it. They just can't see it.
They can't hear the graph because it's not speaking, sweetheart.
Yeah, because the graph doesn't speak. I don't get that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But it's easy to get. It's easy to get. But so this graph, and on the right side, so on this side of it is the United States, that their pricing, their real estate, the dark line is their real estate prices and how it's grown since 1980 to now. And the light part of it that you can see is the incomes that have grown from 1980 to now. And then the dotted line is the population that has grown from 1980 to now. And as you see or as you see if you're on YouTube, but if you're on the radio, you're not seeing it, so I'm describing it. The population has grown pretty much similar, with a similar rise from Canada to the United States. However, the United States income has risen a little bit better than the Canadian income, and their housing pricing has gone through a few ups and downs, but is ending up in a similar location to the incomes. So right now, housing prices in the United States is a bit higher than the income, which means that affordability is weaker. However, when you go over to the other side of the graph and you see population, as we said, it's fairly similar. The growth that we've had, it's very similar to the growth that they had in the United States. As for income, it's not as fast growing as it did in the United States. But the housing line, the dark line, is about 3 to 4 times as aggressive as the United States. So the gap between the housing pricing and the income growth is just absolutely massive. And so this is where everybody's sort of complaining about how difficult it is to afford a home in Canada, and definitely in Vancouver and Toronto, the two most active marketplaces. It is very, very difficult to own in those locations. So, I do know of, well, actually, I really don't know anybody who rented and is doing as well as people who have owned, and I'm talking about from the beginning. But I do know that there are people, not in my circle, but in other circles, who have decided not to purchase and who have invested in stocks and did well, or have invested in their own business or other things and have done well. And so there are different ways to go, but for the majority of us who aren't super gifted at building a business, or aren't super gifted at doing stocks, which is extremely risky, for the majority of us, the only real chance that we have is to live our lives and own a home, or own our home and live our lives. And then at the end of our lives, and we turn around and sell this thing that we grew our families in, and we're able to go on to live the rest of our lives out. And so, we are strong believers in real estate, and it's not just because we earn a commission when you purchase real estate. It's not that. It's probably more because we're in the industry. So this is our specialty. That is our expert skill set.
But we've also, like with any real estate we've done, has been very, even our own house, when we sold our first house, we did well. When we, we've had good experience with it outside of being realtors, just being normal folk buying a house or selling a house. It's been a very good experience for us. It's not for everybody.
Right.
Some people have bad experiences with it, but if you have somebody guiding you and teaching you the ins and outs and how to get into it and what you need to do, and you need to be a little analytical, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And like, we have a client right now, and I admire them because they're like, nope, this is what we have. And if we can't do this, this, and this, like, they know their budget, they're not going over, they're not, because for some people, home ownership is not right. Some people don't want to have all of that responsibility of the repairs. They want to travel, they want to do, so it's not for everybody,
No.
But it is definitely a good, healthy thing to have in your portfolio, I believe.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, just the fact, forget it, if there were absolutely no monetary advantages, and obviously if you look throughout history, there were many monetary advantages, but if there were absolutely no monetary advantages to buying a home, the biggest advantage is that you can morph that home to your family environment. And so as you grow, you can adjust and change it to suit your family. And that is just, it is one of the most wonderful gifts that a human family can have. And I know for us, I mean, right now is a very hard time in the economy. Let's be honest, real estate transactions are very low. The average price has declined almost $300,000 since the peak. It's now gone back up $100,000 in the last 3 months. So the market's down approximately $180,000 on average price over the year, over last year from the peak. And so, for realtors, all realtors right across the board, because the transactions are so low, and people think that realtors want the the prices to go high, but that's not true. What we want is we want everyone to be able to enjoy buying homes. It's the number of transactions that really benefit us over the increased pricing. I mean, if we want to sit down and do a course on that, I could show you. We could run the numbers, and you would say, obviously, yeah, it's an obvious thing that transactions is where realtors really earn their money. It's not on a single purchase. As a matter of fact, the other day, a buy and sell, one of the clients said that, you get $100,000 from this. What can you do for me? And
can you imagine if we got that much money?
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Dang, I'd be like I'd be in Barbados 6 months of the year.
It'd be worth flying to somewhere to sell a home. It really just does not. If it really does not work like that. Like right now, for the last little bit, we were spending about $2,000. A transaction to get the photos and all that for the marketing together. And we were doing that so that we could be ahead of the curve so that a client could have full marketing in place before their home sold, and homes were selling fast. So you had to hire firms to get your marketing out because there was no way that you could do it yourself and preserve those costs in the time that it would take to sell a home. So then all of a sudden it was costing us $2,000 to acquire a listing. And as you know, in real estate, if you don't sell that home, you're out your money.
It's more than $2,000
But
what we put out.
Now we're looking at about $4,000 to be able to do the similar type thing.
Before your listing even hits
before
the
your
MLS.
listing even hits the market, and then we are always trying to grow. We are always trying to give better value. We're always trying to give our clients an edge, and so now we're looking at it's actually a $6,000 program in order to have our clients have the best marketing available so they can get the most amount of eyeballs on their property so that they can get the most amount of dollars in their pocket. But this is all up front. If the property doesn't sell, you get nothing. And what's really interesting too is when people think about realtors' commissions, they think about the whole amount. And they don't realize that the government is a partner in that. So take that whole amount and chop it.
Equal partner.
Equal partner. So take that whole amount and cut it in half right away. Give that to the government, and then take the other half. Then split half of it with one brokerage and half of it with the other, so you're left with a quarter. Now take that quarter, take out your marketing costs and stuff like that, and take out, and then split the difference with your team.
And your broker.
Well, we already did the broker. Oh, no.
We
didn't. Oh, you got to pay the broker.
Gets a percentage.
You got to pay for your office. You got to pay for yourself. And then you split it then with your team. And that gets split down into a 50-50. So at best, if there were zero costs in there, you'd be looking at about a 12.5% of the total 100%. So at best, if you didn't have any expenses or anything, that 100,000 is already down to 12,500, and now you got expenses, and then so it's quite interesting how people think that as a realtor, you sell a home, and then you go home and you bathe in money.
I wish.
And you wake up in the morning and you're sleeping on a bed of money. And
I promise you, if that ever happens, I'm going to show you me rolling in money. But I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Well, we have a lot of investors we need to pay off first before we can roll in money. We need to get them money.
See if there's any more emails.
Is there any more emails, Gary, before I do another?
Yes, there are. So let's start with those.
Yes.
We have Jane writing in. Randy is so right regarding masks. Not only are they rebreathing germs, but these folks impale their oxygen when running, biking, or doing other physical activities. That's from Jane. Thank you, Jane. Karen wrote in, Jackie, remember, all the things that we have to go through that men do not have one answer: the forbidden fruit. Oh, getting biblical there. Okay, Amy writes in, Happy Mother's Day to Jackie and all of the other mothers out there. Thank you, Amy. And this is not yours, and this is not yours. And back to you, folks.
Okay, Amy, happy Mother's Day to everyone.
Mother's
Thank
Day,
you.
yeah.
But that's tomorrow. So I think I'll just save it for tomorrow rather
That's
than...
what he told me this morning. I'm like, oh, it's Mother's Day. He's like, no, that's tomorrow. He didn't even say it, Happy Mother's Day to me.
Well, could we
And
say...
I said it's Happy Mother's Day weekend.
But isn't it like Happy Father's Day year?
Year?
Yeah.
What did you do as a father to earn a year?
It's just a right.
Oh, it's just a rite of passage, what they call? Like,
Yeah. If you pee standing up, you get that right.
maybe you don't pee standing up then.
Not all the time.
No, I didn't mean for you to tell the viewers that.
But so yes, happy Mother's Day, Amy. Karen, Jackie, women are the forbidden fruit. So Karen was saying that women, she understands women go through a lot, and it's for one reason, because of the forbidden fruit. Forbidden fruit?
They're referencing, I believe they're referencing
Yes.
Eve eating that, and of course then the Lord punished humanity.
Yeah, and then, right, and with the forbidden fruit came the punishment. The punishment was actually that we were sort of no longer blind to being naked. And so that's how...
So it's no more naked and afraid.
So that's why Adam had a leaf covering him. And
Adam needed a leaf. He needed more than a leaf.
Well, I used the whole tree. But anyways, we're going to move on with Jane. Jane, that was Jane.
Oh, Jane.
Jane was just saying that she believes also that the masks, people who are riding a bike or anything and doing the mask, that it does impede their breathing and things of that nature. The reason why I'm repeating that is that Jackie actually can't hear it, but we will fix that for the next show.
Yes,
so,
I forgot my...
So here we are. Thank you very much for your emails. I want to talk about something that I have not heard on air from anybody. I'm not hearing it from any news medias, and I'm not hearing it from all the great real estate shows that I listen to. And I listen to a lot of great ones, and that's how I'm able to actually learn more if some of these guys put a lot of work into what they're doing.
Yeah,
and,
Randy eats, sleeps, and breathes real estate and mortgages.
So-
and I mean like 24/7.
So I am not an accountant or financially inclined in any way whatsoever. So this is not to be taken as fact. And since nobody's talking about it, you would almost believe, or I have the fear that I would be wrong, or maybe not allowed to talk about it, because I do know that here in Canada, Justin Trudeau is doing his best to censor what they speech, or is some kind of speech. It's not necessarily hate speech. It's just speech that he's or the system doesn't want being said. And this would probably fall in that realm. And the reason being is because the Bank of Canada does run our economy in many different ways. So we do know that it made the newspaper that in the third quarter, the Bank of Canada lost $500 million, to be more exacting, $522 million. That made the news, and it was the first time in history since the Bank of Canada opened, which is 87 years, the Bank of Canada has been around, and they've had, and there's 4 quarters to a year, so they've done many reportings, close to between 300 and 400 different reporting cycles, and they have never ever lost a penny. They're always making $1 billion to $2 billion a year plus. But not this Bank of Canada today, because this Bank of Canada today went into this quantitative easing along with many of their associates and friends. So the United States, New Zealand, Australia, England, many of them decided that they were going to do this, what they would call quantitative easing, which basically is a way for the banks to print money directly for the Bank of Canada to print money directly into the banking system. So therefore, the Bank of Canada is not printing the money. They are increasing the bank's settlement balances, so the monies that they owe each other. They're increasing those settlement balances, and therefore they're not printing money, but the bank is getting, in essence, money. So it's a really fascinating thing that that the Bank of Canada would actually say that is not printing money. It is printing money. It's just printing money for the Bank of Canada exclusively. And so what they did was, the federal government, and this is really, I think, really important, and I think that it should become illegal, and I think that that Canadians really need to try to wrap their heads around this, and I'm doing my best. This is not something that I understand fully from school, or something that I took in school, so it requires a fair amount of attention to figure it out. And as you start to figure it out, because we don't have the proper education, we see it through a different lens. So if we were properly educated onto the system, we would be perfectly okay with it. But because we don't have those foundations, like the aristocrats that actually talk about this kind of stuff, they think it's okay. But as just typical citizens, if we did this, it would be absolutely illegal and we would be in jail. Now, what they've done is they are not allowed, they do not have the mandate or the ability to buy bonds. The Bank of Canada cannot buy the federal government bonds. The Bank of Canada can prepare them for sale, but they can't buy them. Okay, so what they decided is, since there's legislation that doesn't allow for that conflict of interest to take place, they can't buy it from the federal government, they're selling them. So what happens is our federal government spends money, and because they have good credit, the money that they spend, they need it back, and what they do is they repackage it and give this debt a new name. Now, I'm oversimplifying things, but I'm giving you the generalities. That debt becomes a bond. So imagine you rack up credit card debt, then you can take your credit card. Now, it's not quite this simple, but you can take your credit card and you can now, because you have excellent credit history, you can now sell it to an investor who will give you the money for that, in essence, pay it off, and then you pay them interest on it. So it's basically the credit card for the federal government. So now the federal government is supposed to be responsible. They're supposed to say, okay, we're collecting this amount of taxes, so this is all the money we have, so this is all we can spend. But they found a new way around it, right? The bonds really help with that. We can spend more and we can worry about it at another time. When our kids become older and we're gone, they can try to worry about it then. And then those politicians then go that cycle and increase it. And it just seems like us as Canadians and around the world, it's generally accepted. I don't know why. I think that we're all so busy trying to do other things that we kind of let go of this. But what's happened is the federal government was spending so much money that their bonds were useless, that debt was not being honored by investors. Nobody wanted it. It was like, no, dude, you can't pay this back. We don't want, you're spending way too much. You're careless. You're reckless. So what the Bank of Canada and the other central banks did, I think they had a meeting and all came together and said, hey, why don't we do this? Why don't we, because it was done before, and everywhere, every time it was done, it was pretty much disastrous anyways in terms of inflation and things of that nature. So what they said is, hey, if we buy these bonds, then we can then take all your debt, so you can spend more, but we can't buy your bonds because it's mandated. So if we change the rules, then it would cause all kinds of catastrophes. So this is what we can do. We can make an announcement. So I would say there's two ways I could say this. You go and you have a backroom meeting with the banks and say, hey, buy those bonds and I will buy them back from you and I'll give you a profit. But that's not what they did. But to me, it just seems like that's what they did. But that's obviously not, because they're not as scamish as that. However, what supposedly they did was they just made an announcement. So they have like this announcement board that if these list of approved financial institutions buy the bond, we will buy X amount of bonds from the banks or the institutions that want to sell them, and we will pay. And you guys can give us basically a bidding amount, and we'll pick from whichever ones we want to buy. Therefore, you will make a profit, and you guys can sort of bid the profit levels up and down. And then the Bank of Canada was buying them all back. So hear this one out one more time. The federal government creates a lot of debt. They say they want to pay all of the people who are bagging groceries during COVID. We want to make their wages 50% higher. That did happen here in Canada. He gave them a 50% increase and called them soldiers, basically frontline soldiers on the war on COVID. And then so he gave the baggers of grocery stores 50% increase on their income, or $5 bonus per hour on their income. So I don't think that's 50%, it might be 33%, but insane that you pick a particular class and that's what you do. And they were just giving away money like this to all these special groups that they decided were worthy of this extra money that they're going to do. And then the Bank of Canada took that, turned it into a bond, allowed the banks to buy it, and then bought it back from the banks. So the banks made a profit right off the get-go for taking part in this this I don't want to say illegal, but it just seems illegal because you're not allowed to buy them. So then you have this process of buying them legally. So that seems like a conflict. It seems wrong. So they did this to the tune of $397 billion or $94 billion, somewhere around that number. That's what they did, and created all these settlement balances. So the banks made money during this. Then What happened? The Bank of Canada said, oh no, inflation is through the roof. Why is inflation through the roof? Because before COVID, there was $100 billion, $97 billion, I believe, floating around in the economy, making the economy work. And then during the COVID, there's $394 billion floating around in the economy. Now remember, none of us were working or doing anything or leaving our homes or shopping, but there was all this money floating around because of the Bank of Canada. So what happens? They increase the interest rates because inflation went crazy. And they blame the inflation on us. And inflation is just another tax anyways, because we got to pay more for everything. Bank of Canada lost $522 billion in the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, they lost $1.2 billion. Sorry, $522 million in the third quarter.
Yeah, I was going to say.
$1.2 billion in the fourth quarter, and ended up with a negative loss of $705 million for the year. So they lost the 740 they did the first quarter, they lost the 281 they did the second quarter, and they came out and they came out of it with a big negative, losing money. And they're going to lose money every single quarter until they change those interest rates back, because they got to pay the banks extra interest. And that's just not fair. I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to say that. And I believe our show is over. Was there an email,
I don't know,
Gary, that came in through you?
No, there are no emails. I just checked.
Awesome. So we're good. Thank you very much for listening. I'm going to continue this rant at another time, because check
them out on Tuesday.
The more that I think about it, the more it actually bothers me, because it does seem like they pulled a fast one on us. Thank you very much for listening.
Check out Randy Tuesday nights at 9:30 if you want to continue listening to his rant on the same channel, Reality Radio. Happy Mother's Day, all you wonderful women out there, grandmothers, everybody.
Yes, and thank you for tuning in. This is Your Home, Your Money, and Our Lives on realityradio101.com. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to Your Home, Your Money with your hosts, Randy and Jackie, right here on Reality Radio 101.